What's happening, everyone? It's Abdallah here, bringing you guys a tutorial on how to get every single legendary within the game. Not only are we going to show you guys where all the legendaries are at within Pokemon Sun and Moon, but we're going to show you guys all the Tapu locations and the Ultra Beast. It's going to be great. If you guys are excited as I am, definitely smash that like button, and of course, share the video with a friend. But without further ado, let's jump on into it. Before we get started with this legendary tutorial, I'm going to provide you guys with 3 pro tips on getting the absolute best legendaries. Pro tip number 1 is going to be save your game before you encounter any of these Pokemon. Whether it be the Legends, the Ultra Beast, the Tapu, save your game beforehand because you don't want to risk not catching it. And at the same time, you will have an easier time to capture it if you're able to soft reset. Soft reset, try again. Simply put, our next pro tip is going to be using Synchronize ability. Now, there are Pokemon in the game that have the ability Synchronize, such as Espeon, Umbreon, Abracadabra, Alakazam. All those Pokemon can use that to transfer their specific nature to the Pokemon you're trying to capture. There's a chance of doing it. It's not 100%, but there's a good chance that it'll work. So what I have done was I have gone through and bred a bunch of Abra with the ability Synchronize. I have them in all sorts of nature, such as Jolly, Timid, Modest, Adamant, Careful, Bold. All of the popular natures that will boost according stats that you need on a certain Pokemon. I've done so. So what you have to do is you have to keep them in your first slot of your party, and as soon as you initiate that battle, you have a potential to synchronize that said nature on that said legendary, Ultra Beast, or Tapu Pokemon that you're looking to capture. Our third pro tip is to check your individual values. If you have beaten the game and gotten to the battle tree area, you'll find an NPC next to the computer in the battle tree area that will give you the ability to check IVs, or individual values. An individual value could be anywhere from 0 to 31 in any particular stat. So what you're going to want to do is think of what kind of Pokemon you want to capture, what kind of moves you're going to give it, and what kind of stats you want to be maxed out on it. So, with that being said, once you've saved, you've synchronized, and captured the Pokemon, go over, deposit them in the PC, check those IVs in the computer, and you'll notice that if it says best on any one of those categories, that is a perfect IV stat of 31. Typically with Legends and Ultra Beasts and Tapu, you'll be able to get 3. If you soft reset enough times, or if you're very lucky, you can possibly get 4, or maybe even 5. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you guys check your IVs so that you know what's going to happen. Oftentimes, you only have one opportunity to capture said legendary, so you want to make sure it's got the correct nature, the correct IV set. So now that you guys know all the pro tips on capturing legendaries, let's get this Pokemon visual tutorial started. If you guys have Pokemon Sun, you will have access to Solgaleo. If you guys have Pokemon Moon, you'll have access to Lunala. Now, if you guys naturally progress through the story, you'll eventually end up over at the Altar of the Sun or the Altar of the Moon on Pony Island in order to see Cosmog evolve into one of these cover legendaries. Now, as soon as Cosmog evolves into there, you do a little bit more story mode. Cosmog wants you to essentially battle him as Lunala or Solgaleo, depending on what version you have. Now, these are exclusive. There's no way that you can get both within one version. So, if you guys have Pokemon Sun, you are going to need to trade for the opposite legendary. The next Pokemon we have is Zygarde. Now, Zygarde makes a comeback in this generation, but he's got a couple different forms along with him. If you guys are playing through the game, you'll run into Dexio and Cena from Pokemon X and Y. You remember them. And they'll give you the Zygarde Cube, in which you can go all throughout the Alola region and collect little floating green cells called Z-cells and Z-cores all throughout your adventures. Now, if you are able to collect 10 of them, simply head on over to the trailer on Ula Ula Island, Route 16, and assemble Zygarde 10% form, which looks like this Zydog. He's pretty awesome. He's very fast and very frail. But nonetheless, if you're able to find 50 of the Zygarde cells, you can get Zygarde from the previous generation, which is called Zygarde 50% form. And if you collect all 100 of the Zygarde cells, you can get Zygarde complete form. Now, once you have the completed form, Zygarde will have the ability Power Construct. Now, what that does is that if regular Zygarde 50% form or Zygarde 10% form falls below 50% HP, it'll turn into this awesome full-on Zygarde. Our next legendary Pokemon is going to be none other than Cosmog, the very cute Pokemon that Lily's been holding around all throughout the game. Now, in order to find your very own Cosmog, what you'll need to do is become the Alola Champion, and once you've already beaten the main story mode, simply head on over to the Altar of the Sun, or the Altar of the Moon, depending on which game you're playing. Jump right back into that portal, simply by making that portal open, depending on what time of day it is. If you're playing in Pokemon Sun version, you'll have to make sure that you visit it at nighttime. And if you're playing in Pokemon Moon version, it opens up during the day. Once you go inside that warp dimension, you have to head over to the Lake of the Moon or Lake of the Sun, depending on what version you have, and then you will see Cosmog just waiting there to join your team. Pretty easy. In order to get Cosmog's evolution, Cosmoem, what you're going to need to do is level up Cosmog to level 43. Now this is going to be a pretty tough thing to do, simply because Cosmog doesn't have any attacking moves. All it has is Splash and Teleport, so you'll have to do your best with maybe attaching a lucky egg to it, maybe raising its affection up. But anyway, do whatever you can in order to get it to level 43, and it will naturally evolve into Cosmoem, which is the form that we've seen all throughout the story mode within Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, depending on what version you have of the game, you can alternatively evolve your Cosmoem into your cover legendary. So if you're playing Pokemon Sun, you level up Cosmoem to level 53, it will evolve into Solgaleo. And if you are playing Pokemon Moon and you level it up to 53, it'll turn into Lunala. Our next legendary Pokemon is Magearna. Magearna can be found simply by scanning a specific QR code, and once you scan that QR code into the game, head on over to the Hau'oli shopping district, and you'll be able to find a guy standing right outside, ready to give you Magearna. Most likely the easiest legendary to get within the entire game. Simply find the QR code, scan it in, and voila. The last capturable legendary Pokemon is none other than Necrozma. Necrozma can be found on 10 Carat Hill in the grassy areas directly after you've beaten the entire Ultra Beast quest with Looker on your version of Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Simply put, head on over to 10 Carat Hill, walk around in the grass, use a max repel in order for him to come out a lot easier, but be prepared because he's at level 75 and he is going to rock your team. So use whatever you can against him. I know a lot of people love using the Master Ball because he's the last capturable one. You might as well do it. So if you guys are interested in Ultra Beast, stay tuned a little bit later where we cover exactly where to find all of those. Our last legendary is going to be Marshadow. Now, there's no official way of obtaining him as of right yet. The Pokemon Company International hasn't even commented about his existence. The only way that we have found out about it is through hackers who have leaked the game, looked into the data, and found out all of that stuff. So, if you guys are subscribed to my channel, definitely stay tuned to when I give you guys a tutorial on the status of Marshadow once it gets released. Now that all the legendaries are out of the way, let's cover all the different Tapu Pokemon within the game. Now these are all guardian deities within the islands, and as you guys know, Tapu Koko has been a very prominent character within the main storyline. Now, you can challenge Tapu Koko directly after you beat the Elite Four. He'll give you an opportunity to capture him there. If you don't do it directly after then, simply head on over to Melee Island's Ruins of Conflict and walk all the way up to the altar. Simply press the A button near the altar and you will get a battle with Tapu Koko. Now, he's pretty tough, so be on your toes as his electric terrain attacks are very electrifying. But do your best and you'll be able to capture him. Our next Tapu Pokemon is Tapu Lele, the Psychic type. You can simply find Tapu Lele in Akala Island's Ruins of Life. Simply walk over through this area, talk to the altar, and Tapu Lele will come out to greet you. Good luck on catching her. You can find our next Tapu Bulu, over on Ula Ula Island, simply by going over to the Ruins of Abundance. Now this one's a little bit tougher, simply because you have to make your way through the desert, and the desert can be a little bit confusing. So, with enough patience and finding the different path in order to get along through, you'll be able to find that Ruins of Abundance and find Tapu Bulu within there. Tapu Bulu isn't the hardest to capture, so just whittle down his HP, get him over there, throw some Ultra Balls, and you'll be good to go. The last of the four Tapu is Tapu Fini, the water type. Now, in order to find Tapu Fini, you're going to have to go to Pony Island and go over to the Ruins of Hope. Just like all the other Tapu, walk all the way up to the altar and press the A button, and Tapu Fini will come out to battle you. Now, be very mindful of Tapu Fini's Aqua Ring, because it is pretty annoying to battle against, especially if you're trying to whittle down Fini all the way down to 1 HP. But with persistence, you'll be able to get Tapu Fini as well. So now that all the Tapu and Legendaries are out of the way, let's continue on this visual tutorial with teaching you guys where all the different Ultra Beasts are at. In case you guys didn't already beat the game, you're going to have to do that because directly after that, you will meet up with Looker. And we've known Looker from the previous generations. He's part of the International Police Force. So he briefs you on a story and a mission of going through all of Alola, capturing the Ultra Beast that came out of the Ultra Wormhole. He'll give you a bunch of Beast Balls in order to do every single mission, and of course he'll tell you exactly where to find them. So, Here we go. We're going to go through every single one of them. Now keep in mind, there are Pokemon Sun exclusive Ultra Beasts, and there are Pokemon Moon exclusive Ultra Beasts. With this tutorial, we'll show you exactly where all of them are at. The very first Ultra Beast mission that you're going to get is going to be UB01 Symbiont, or Nihiligo, whatever you want to call him. It's going to be over near Vela Mountain or Diglett's Cave. Simply fly over to any one of those areas, walk around in the grass or the cave, and it will come out to greet you. Now with this, if you have Beast Balls, which you should be provided with 10 every single mission, lower down the HP and toss one of these Beast Balls, because the Beast Balls have a huge success rate when it comes to capturing Ultra Beasts in them. Our next Ultra Beast is UB02 Absorption, or Buzzwole. This guy is really strong and very bulky. Now, you're going to be able to find him in Pokemon Sun. He is an exclusive. You're going to find him on Route 2 in the Melee Meadow. So, with that being said, if you're able to capture him, the quest will allow you to capture another one. And now that you've got 2 of the Pokemon Sun exclusives, you can easily trade that one for any of the Moon exclusives. Likewise, if you're playing through Pokemon Moon, the next Ultra Beast is going to be UB02 Beauty Formosa. Now, Formosa is a very, very strong Pokemon. So, you can find Formosa in the Verdant Cavern, and they give you the opportunity to capture multiple ones. UB03 Lightning, or Xurkitree, is a shared Ultra Beast between both of the versions. You can find him on either Memorial Hill or the Lush Jungle. Now, with Xurkitree, my goodness, does this thing have a huge special attack stat. So, be very careful about that when you're battling him. Launch your Beast Balls and go from there. Our next Ultra Beast is UB04 Blade, or Kartana. You can find this Pokemon Sun exclusive on Route 17 and Malik Garden. When you're going through the Looker quest, he says that you can actually capture 4 different ones. Now, with that being said, you will be able to have 3 additional Kartana to trade for other Pokemon Moon exclusives, which is a great design. Now, be very careful about using special attacks on Kartana, because Kartana has a very, very low special defensive stat, and you'll most likely KO it with anything. Since Kartana was a Pokemon Sun exclusive, we have the UB04 Blaster Celesteela, a Pokemon Moon exclusive that can be found in the Haina Desert and Malik Garden. With that being said, go through, find Celesteela, be very careful about the typing because it is flying and steel, so try not to use any poison or ground attacks on it. Do your best. It's pretty bulky, and it may iron defense up all the way up to +6, so be careful about that. Our last Ultra Beast is none other than UB05 Glutton or Guzzlord. You can simply find him in the Resolution Cave, but be very wary because he is at a very high level, and he's got a very high HP stat, so it's going to take a lot of hits to get this guy down. Now keep in mind, you'll have a lot of Beast Balls at your disposal, so catching him shouldn't be too hard. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have learned everything that you need to know about all of the legendary Pokemon. So, if this video has helped you out, definitely smash that like button. Of course, share the video with a friend. We're going to continue on with even more tutorials. And if you guys have some more time today, definitely click on screen right over here so that you guys can watch the full-on tips and tricks tutorial playlist. You guys can also check out the newest video on my channel here, and you guys can watch the 100% walkthrough on my channel by clicking right over here. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all of your support on my Pokemon videos. You guys are great. So, we'll see you guys in the next tutorial. If you guys have any suggestions on what you'd like to see, let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe. Take care.